Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. All right, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show. I'm Jeff Heggie of Jeff Heggie Coaching, jeffheggie.com, and I'm with my co-host, Heidi Anderson of ECISecurePay.com. And we are excited today to have Ruth King with us. And I'm just going to give a bit of an introduction, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ruth and let her tell a little bit more of the story. But she's got an exciting background, and I just want to share her bio with you. So Profitability Master Ruth King has a passion for helping businesses get and stay profitable, utilizing the latest systems, processes, and technology. After 12 years on the road doing 200 flights per year, she knew there had to be a better way to reach business people who wanted to build their businesses and train their employees. She began training on the internet in 1998 and began her first television-like broadcasting in 2002. Her channels include HVACchannel.tv, ProfitabilityRevolution.com, and others. Ruth holds an MBA in finance from Georgia State University, a bachelor's and master's degrees in chemical engineering from Tufts University and the University of Pennsylvania, respectively. Her latest book, The Profit or Wealth, reached number one in October 2020. This book is preceded by The Ugly Truth About Cash and the number one best-selling book, The Courage to Be Profitable. This part is very impressive to me. These two books were named 2 of the 37 books startups should read, along with the books of Napoleon Hill, Stephen Covey, Dale Carnegie, and other esteemed authors. She's also the author of 2 other award-winning books, The Ugly Truth About Small Business and The Ugly Truth About Managing People. So she's a busy lady. So Ruth, welcome. We are excited to have you here and hear more about your story. Welcome.
Thanks, Jeff and Heidi. I'm thrilled to be here. It is a pleasure and an honor to be with both of you. So I started, in 1981 was Business Ventures, which was my first business. And over the years, I've had businesses that have done really, really well, and I'm still doing really well. And I had one fail as hard as you possibly can make it fail. I've learned a lot from that one. I promise you I did. But my goal in life is, and my passion for existence and reason for being, is to give business owners the tools and the processes to get and stay profitable, i.e. profitability, build wealth, which happens after you become profitable. And then my thing is give back. I mean, once you've achieved what you want to do, giving back to me, and I do this all the time, is part of the deal. I mean, it's time to give it back to others who can help others do the same thing that you are doing. And that's what I truly believe and do.
So a lot of your books start with the ugly truth. So what are some of the ugly truths that people should know about small business or being an entrepreneur?
Well, number one, my favorite one out of all the ugly truth about small business, which started because I sent an email to 50 chambers of commerce throughout 250 chambers of commerce throughout the United States to see whether people had gone through what I had gone through and survived. And that was, I lost a $1.6 million contract, $800,000 of investment, riding on that contract. We're in a partner the same day, and still managed to start up my 6th business. And so if I went through all of that and survived, there had to be other people who've gone through the same type of horrific stories and survived. And what it did actually is it gave everybody, I got emails out the wazoo about people saying, thank you, I thought I was alone. And thank you, you've helped me realize that, what we're going through is not unique, and those types of things. And one of my favorite things out of that book is, when you're talking to your friends about the business that you're going to be starting, or if you've started, and they, what do you think? And you say, and that you ask them, well, what do you think about this? Because they're your friends, and you want their opinion. And they go, I think that's a great idea. And then you say, great, will you invest? And if they say no, then you figure out, okay, is it really a great idea or not? Or they're just trying to make you feel good about going out and doing this idea. Asking people who have not been in business, who are your friends, is not a good idea about finding out whether you've got a good idea or not. So that's the ugly truth about cash. is that 99% of the people are honest unless you give them a reason to steal from you. And a lot of times those reasons are things that are personal. They need money for a kid who got sick, a parent who got sick, something along those lines. And if you don't have the processes and procedures in place and it's easy for them to steal, they'll do it. And if they don't get caught, sometimes the pattern gets started. And at that particular point, it's easier the second than the third, than the fourth, than whatever else it is. And then there's the 1% who are what I call professional embezzlers, who do it for the thrill. They don't need the money, and they want to see what they can get from you. And if they can't steal from you because you have all your processes in place, they quit. And you never understand why a good bookkeeper quits. Guess what? They're probably trying to embezzle from you, and they couldn't. So they'll go try somebody else somewhere else, an unsuspecting small business owner. It's just crazy. So those are a couple of things. And managing people is you have to have communications. You have to communicate. Nobody can read your mind. You have to let everybody know what their KPIs are, what their key performance indicators are, what they need to do to be successful, what the minimum levels are, and where they're going, if they exceed them, what the reward is for exceeding them. So that, in a very quick nutshell, is those 3 books. The other 2 are really all financially driven. They're written in English. They're not written in accounting babble, because I find that many small business owners, in fact, unless you're a bookkeeper, unless you're a CPA, you don't go to start a business to do the books. You just don't. And most people who start paying attention to pricing and financials and stuff like that have gotten into trouble. They can't pay their bills. A customer doesn't pay a check on time, and something has happened. And that's when they start paying attention, except for the very few people who do it on the front end to really understand, okay, this is what my pricing needs to be, this is what overhead is, and things like that. And in the beginning, it's really hard for somebody to pay attention to that. It really and truly is something has to have happened in order for them to really and truly pay attention. Unfortunately, we learn from our mistakes rather than, do it right from the first time. Yeah.
Right.
So,
with all of these books, I get 2 views from them. These are great books and great things for beginning entrepreneurs to know and understand. But they're also great for people that have been in business forever, because just going back to you caught yourself just saying KPIs, but how many people have been in business forever and they've got a team that doesn't know if they're being successful? Am I doing the things that I'm successful in my job or not? And it's that lack of communication. It's just the lack of setting those things up. But one thing I think, especially, again, it doesn't matter if it's a new entrepreneur or someone that's been in business for a long time, you talk about your failure, and failures are such learning experiences, and we can learn so much from them, and we can learn from other people's experiences. It doesn't make it any easier when we're going through it to say, oh, this is a learning experience. That it's still really hard. But I think one thing that I would really like you to shed some light on, because people can learn so much from it. Tell us the ugly truth about partnerships.
oh my gosh.
We have all day.
I will say that before I answer that question, if this is okay, is that if you read these books, you won't make, and actually implement the things, you won't make these mistakes. You will still make some, but you won't make the mistakes that we all made, and learn from the things that we did and don't do them. Partnerships can be phenomenal. I've had some of my clients who have phenomenal partnerships, and I've had some that have been really, really good, and I've had some that have been really, really bad. The ones that have been really, really bad, there was not clear expectations of the partners, i.e. I was going to do one thing, they were going to do something else. Both of them wanted to do what I wanted to do, and that doesn't work in a partnership. You absolutely, totally need a partnership agreement in terms of what happens if one of you wants out, what the procedure is for buying the other out, or do we sell it? What happens if one of you gets incapacitated, hurt, dies, whatever. But you need to have the partnership agreement when you're still friends. because at the point where you start having problems is not when you do a partnership agreement. And if you are 50-50 partners, it does not work as a general rule unless there's a tiebreaker. And
it's like getting a prenup before you get married.
Exactly. I worked with the company whose dads were from Eastern Europe, and they were two brothers. And it was always known that the older brother, what he said goes, because that's the way it was in the old country, so to speak. And his two sons, which were cousins, then ended up owning the businesses. And what their dads did, which was really, really, really smart, is they said, if you cannot come to an agreement, this is the person you go to, and he will make the final decision, and you will abide by that decision. And it was their oldest trusted business advisor, who was really, really good. I met him. But it was the way for 50-50 partnerships to actually work. There is a tiebreaker that both of you agree to in the beginning, who makes the final decision, and both of you abide by it. It is what it is. And that works well, but as a general rule, I find that 50-50 partnerships, unless there is something like that and somebody who can be a tiebreaker, don't work really, really well. And they also don't work if both of you want to do the same thing, because somebody has to do sales, somebody has to be good for operations, and somebody has to be able to look at the books. And generally partnerships together should look at the books at least once a month to make sure everything's headed in the right direction and there are no surprises. I've had situations where family members, two brothers and a sister, owned the company together. Now, yeah, that wasn't 50-50, but the sister of the two brothers ended up getting hooked on drugs, and she was draining the checking account simply because she could. She was a signatory in the checking account. Everybody, all three of them were. And so as bad and as horrible and as awful as it was, because the two brothers, it was their sister. They had to pull her off the checking accounts. They had to pull her out of the company because she was taking the company down. And unfortunately, she passed away through an overdose. But, they couldn't afford for the company not to be able to feed everybody and keep roofs over their heads and things like that, because she was literally draining the company to feed her habit. And so sometimes you get into those awful situations too. Communication is important, especially if you two disagree or three disagree. Tiebreakers are important before you go to legal issues and go from there. That's the ugly truth.
Do you have a way of recommending to people who to choose as that tiebreaker, or that, some, like you said, the one family had the trusted advisor, but if you don't already have that in place, where should somebody look for that?
I would suggest it would be somebody who understands your industry, who is not competitive to you in your industry. That would be the first place that I would go. There's usually industry experts around that you can make some sort of arrangement with. They have to understand the business and things like that. I've also seen it being CPAs or attorneys like that. I'm not sure that I would go that route. Me personally, I would rather do an industry expert. I've seen both. Because the industry expert will know more than a CPA, no offense to CPAs, about the industry that you're working in. An attorney will look at it only from a legal perspective, not necessarily the emotional or what's, industry things are. So I would go to find an industry expert first, either a lawyer, or a CPA, or a trusted consultant or advisor would be the other option that you have. Sometimes your board of advisors, and I also suggest that everybody have one, not necessarily board of directors, but advisors you can just call on the phone and say, hey, I need some help here. And a lot of times it is industry experts, and these are people who are willing to help you grow your businesses. Obviously, most of them want to be paid to do this. And you'll have a board meeting, even if it's through Zoom like this, every quarter, and maybe get together once a year. Present your business plan and the budget and where you are financially. And that's how companies grow really, really well. It was by making sure that you've budgeted, goal set, and either reach them or don't, but find out why for both of those.
I think one thing that you've hit on that's important to note, and I'd like to hear you talk a little bit more about this, is whether it's with partners or a board or employees that communication is key to success. You want to talk a little bit more on the importance of communication?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one, nobody can read your mind. You know, even if you're married, you live together, and you think you know what somebody else is saying, but not always. So partners, no partner can read each other's mind. Your employees can't read your mind. So you have to be able to communicate with them either in a quarterly, monthly, daily, whatever perspective. I teach a class called Leadership Skills for Mid-Level Managers, and the majority of it is learning how to communicate with the people who are working for you on your team, and understanding what their key performance indicators are and where they are against those, and help them get to where they need to be. Communication, marriages fail because of communication. Partnerships fail because of lack of communication. People leave your companies because they hear a rumor and they think it's true. Whether or not it's true or not, you have to communicate to let people know, what's happening, where it's going, the goals of the organization, the customer base, why you're in business, how you help the customer, how each of your employees helps the customer is really critical, because the customers write your paychecks. And if they don't understand how they fit into the customer equation, they don't realize that the customer writes their paychecks, and if they make a customer angry and upset and the customer leaves, they lose a paycheck. All right? They don't necessarily think about that. They don't necessarily see that. So communicating what their responsibilities and goals are, why they are doing what they are doing, and how important it is to make sure that they fit into the team and they work well with the team, and the fact that they are taking care of the customer in this particular case. Now, customers obviously can be internal or external. We all think about the external customers who we sell to, so to speak. But there are a lot of people who are in office positions whose customers are the people who are out in the field. They're the people who are out with the face-to-face customers. And if they make one of those people angry and that person leaves, then you lose a potential of a lot of sales. So it's really a situation that sometimes there's internal and external customers, and you have to be able to communicate with both.
Well, it's kind of like, I think we've had other people on the show, and they talk about, even as an employee, having them like that's their little company. Their job is their own little company, and to handle it that way. It's like, and they have them have some ownership and feel, and the responsibility, not just showing up and, muddling through their job.
Yeah, and not only that, give them a bonus at the end of the year. One of my clients has a very specific way of bonusing at the end of the year. They take a piece of all the profits and they distribute it amongst everybody in the company based on how long they've been there and what their salary is. And the reality is that some people with lower salaries who've been there longer get a bigger bonus than those people who have larger salaries who've only been there a year or 2 years. But everybody understands that profitability is the key to making sure that the company survives and grows and thrives and things like that. And they all work towards it, and they all get a piece of it at the end of the year. Now, there have been good years and bad years, all right? And in the bad years, this much. In the good years, a lot. So,
and the bad years, it's the Jelly of the Month Club.
Yeah.
in the good years, it's enough to build a swimming pool. Family vacation.
Yeah, and that's true.
I was just going to say that's, speaking from experience, I've seen that work really well. When I was in the banking industry, we had a program, we called it variable pay. And rather than calling it a bonus, it was our pay that was at risk, is what we called it. And it depended on your position. For example, myself as a manager, it was 10% of my salary. When I looked at a teller, it was 7.5% of their salary. And it really had everyone on the same page, because part of your variable pay was based on corporate profitability and part was based on your branch profitability. And it really got everyone focused on the same things, because that variable pay was something everyone was aiming for. Sure,
absolutely. And and I assume it was taking care of the customers too who walked into the bank, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. That the customer feedback played a big role in how that all came together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the customers are the ones writing your paychecks for all intents and purposes. They don't put deposits in the bank. You're not getting paid.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit more. When we talk about businesses going online, I don't talk to a lot that say, yeah, I started training on the internet in '98.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a long time. How
Yes.
have things evolved in that side of your business?
Oh my gosh. In '98, we were using dial-up. The internet and video over cell phones was not even in anybody's mind at that point. And, once the technology got better, it's a lot easier. I mean, Zoom wasn't around. A lot of the things that we're using today were just not around there. And it was, people had to dial up to, internet was not reliable, for number one. Number two, it was slow. We couldn't have this conversation like we're having it right now because it would be stopping and starting and doing those types of things. But the really important part has not changed. And the really important part, at least in my opinion, is that people want information quickly that will help them. All right. If they can listen to a 20-minute video or, this conversation that we're having for 30 minutes and get one idea that will help them in their business, we've succeeded. And so I've always looked at it that way and saying, okay, what can we do in a very short period of time to allow somebody to do something that helps them in their business and they can implement it immediately. And that's always been my thing. So that hasn't changed from '98 on. Now, the ability to make it easy to do video has changed phenomenally. I mean, I used to have a 4,000 square foot studio. I now have this little itty bitty studio. And, our cell phones, the cameras in our cell phones are like amazing. I mean, we didn't have that in '98. So, I couldn't take a video off my cell phone and put it online. Now I can. So the technology has changed. I don't think the messaging, so to speak, has changed, because that's
Right.
still important, because if you're not giving them something valuable in a quick period of time, then you're not going to have customers and they're not going to listen or watch or whatever.
Right.
Now, do you have like an ideal customer or like a preferred industry to work with, or can you just work with anybody? Or
I can work with anybody. I would prefer to look at it in terms of the types of businesses, if that's okay. I look at businesses basically there's three major types of businesses. There's business as a lifestyle. There's business as a tool, and I'll explain all this. And there's business as an exponential, change the world type business. All right. So most of the businesses that are businesses of lifestyle really and truly, they don't care about growing. They care about supporting their lifestyle. They don't care about P&Ls and balance sheets. They care about cash flow, and they care about customers coming in the door. I mean, let's be real. Businesses as a tool are started because you want a business to do something, and you'll sell it, grow it, whatever else it is, to be able to do something later on. So you start it, grow it, buy it. You start it or buy it, grow it, sell it, and do something else. And then there are the transformational businesses, which are, okay, I'm going to change the world. I want absolutely, this is my passion in life. Not that you're not passionate about businesses and the others, but it's almost like those who go after venture capital, those who go after and say, okay, I'm going to create, water for the entire planet and make water clean. It's that type of thing. They are very exponential. They don't look at business in terms of growing at 10% a year. They 10x their businesses. So, they're interested, obviously, cash flow is critical, but venture capital is also critical in those areas where it doesn't necessarily have to be for business as a tool. You're going to grow, but most of the time you're growing at 10, 15, maybe 20% a year. You've got a specific goal, specific objective, a specific thing that you want to achieve, and your employees are all on board with you to do that. So that's how I look at it. So, with businesses that are lifestyles, they don't care about a whole lot other than supporting their lifestyle. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's a personal choice. And then there are others who really, care about P&Ls and balance sheets and making sure that they're profitable so that they can sell something. And then you have the exponentially growing companies who look at it from a perspective of, if I put in $1, I want 100 out, but this is what I'm going to do to change the world type things. And some of them make it and some of them don't.
So is there one of those that you prefer to work with, or is it?
Yeah, mine is the tool. Business is the tool.
Okay.
Yeah, lifestyle businesses I really can't help. The exponentially growing businesses, I don't have the venture capital to help.
So if you're looking at a entrepreneur that's in the startup stages, if you don't have the ability to really get into the entire business with them, what would you say are the top 3 things that entrepreneurs really need to focus on in their business?
Number 1 is your customer base, all right? Why are they doing business with you? What are the benefits? And that might sound really crazy, but it is the most important thing to understand is your customer base. And then you have to price accordingly. And if you can't price to make a profit, we got to figure out to provide more value to make a profit. So number 1 would be customer base. And it doesn't matter any lifestyle, any business type, not necessarily only the lifestyle business. You have to understand who your customer is and make sure that you're taking care of your customer and providing benefits to your customer so that they come back and come back and come back. So that's number 1. Number 2 is I look at it and say, you need a budget, you need a set of goals, and you need to look at your P&Ls and balance sheets to make sure you stay on budget. If I'm going to work with a client, we create a budget. We know where we're going for the year, and sometimes we do it out for 10 years based on where they want to go and what their exit plan is. And we know every week what they have to do. We know every day what they have to do. And if there's different departments, what each department has to do every day, every week, every month, and every year. And then we look at their P&Ls and their balance sheets to make sure they're on track. So, you can get that granular if you want.
What about marketing and stuff? Do you work with people when it comes to getting their name out there, or is that a different conversation?
I work more on the operation and the financial side. Okay. And helping them with the goals and the objectives, and then making those goals and objectives into numbers. And I find if they really do their budget and they exceed their budget, we want to know why. If their overhead is over budget, we want to know why. If it's under, we want to know why. What did we do that we didn't estimate right, or what wonderful things happened, or what awful things like COVID happened? COVID changed the world. It really and truly did, whether we want to say it or not. But a lot of us pivoted, and we did okay.
That's a great point. It did, but you also had a best-selling book in October 2020. Why was that? How did that work out for you?
The reason is, number 1, is people realized, I think at that point, that it's I could have had a profitable business, and some profitable businesses absolutely went out of business because of COVID, because of what happened. Businesses shut down, certain industries shut down. And I think for the first time, people really realized, once you profit, you need to build the wealth. And that book really and truly shows you profit rules, but it also shows you the wealth rules. And I think that's a reason why. As a result of COVID, here's my rule. No more than 20% of your business in any one industry or with any one customer, because not all the industries shut down. I had one of my clients who had 80% of his business in the restaurant industry when COVID shut down. He pivoted really fast. Had to. Wasn't an option. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made it. Excellent. So I think that's fine.
Okay. All right. I've got my next question. Let me phrase it in a way you'll know where I'm going with it. How do you tell if your financial statements are wrong?
Okay. Number 1 is your balance doesn't balance. Number 2, you're in a situation where your aged receivables don't match the receivables on your balance sheet. Your aged payables don't match your payables on your balance sheet. Number 3, you're on a cash basis accounting versus accrual basis. And we can have a whole discussion about that. Operating a business, you really need to be accrual, which means you have receivables and payables. Cash basis, you don't necessarily have, you can file your taxes on a cash basis. I could care less. But you can't have apples and oranges in running your businesses, so that you have revenues in one month and expenses in another month, and you have financial statement fruit salad, and you can't tell whether you're profitable or not. Right. So those would be the first three. I mean, I have a list of 10, and if they want that, they can just go to my website, ruthking.info, and get that whole list. You can tell in less than a minute whether your financial statements are wrong. And I just gave you like 4 of them, but there's actually 10 that you can actually look at.
Excellent. And that's where I wanted to go with that. I wanted to let our listeners know that you had a free tool available to them that they'd be able to get that. And I mean, other than that, where do our listeners that are thinking, okay, this lady's talking my language, this lady's talking the language I'm trying to learn, how do they find you, follow you, and stay in touch with you?
The best place really to get me is ruthking.info. Everything there, all the training tools I've got, all the videos with Profitability Revolution can be gotten through that site. All the books are there, all the speaking that I do, all the training that I do, the 97, how to finance your financials are wrong in 97 seconds are there. My contact information's there. Everything's in that one website. So it's ruthking.info. And that's the best place to get me. And if not, it's 770-729-8000 if they're driving, and they can just call.
Excellent. And if you are listening to this and you don't remember all that, I will have it in the show notes. So just come back and grab it out of the show notes, and we'll make sure you have her contact information, how to get with her on LinkedIn and on Twitter as well. But thank you, Ruth. Appreciate you sharing your knowledge and expertise with us.
Thank you, Jeff and Heidi, for having me. I appreciate it. And hopefully I've given your audience something to think about and implement when they hang up and turn this off.
I'm sure you did. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm looking for entrepreneurs, athletes, coaches, and other high achievers who want to discover their full potential. Those that have dreams and desires of getting to the next level and just need to figure out how to get there. Hi, my name is Jeff Heggie. I'm a success coach, and I want to show you the truth about developing a powerful mindset. One of the biggest things holding people back from achieving their dreams is their own limiting beliefs. And the bad thing about limiting beliefs is they prevent you from discovering your true potential and cause you to settle for way less than you really deserve. I've seen this time and again in business, athletics, all areas of life. And worst of all, many people never get past the idea that achieving their biggest dreams in life is just that, a dream. But luckily, now there's a solution for this problem. So if you're an entrepreneur, athlete, coach, or other high achiever that really wants to get to the next level, but it just hasn't happened yet, here's the solution you've been looking for. I want to introduce you to High Achievers Mindset Secrets. High Achievers Mindset Secrets is designed to help you gain control of your future, become absolutely clear on your goals and how you're going to achieve them, discover the true potential of what you have within yourself, and live every day with confidence. Intentionally live the life you desire, and much, much more. From day one, you'll be able to start implementing the strategies that will bring results into your life. High Achievers Mindset Secrets is designed specifically to meet your needs, and there's 3 options for you to choose from. First of all, there's the 6-module course. Over the course of these 6 modules, you'll learn the momentum cycle, the success cycle, and how to make them work in your favor, how to build confidence and self-belief. You'll learn to create clear goals, understand what you need to do to achieve them, and most importantly, you'll discover your why for each one. And I'll tell you now, it's not what you think. You'll learn the power of mindset questions, visualization, and having a vivid vision. You'll learn the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset and how you can change it. You'll understand the importance of proximity as power. You'll create personal development habits that lead to success. And you'll create your own personal success formula. You'll also learn the connection of mindset and mental health, the importance of state, modeling, and mindfulness, and so much more. The second option is the Academy. In the Academy, you get the full 6-module course, plus some specific, specialized one-on-one coaching. In the team program, it's designed for athletic teams, sales teams, executive teams, any team that wants to maximize its potential. Each person on the team will go through the 6-module course, and then there will be some group coaching specifically with me. So again, if you're an entrepreneur, athlete, coach, or any other high achiever that really wants to get to the next level and you're committed to making it happen, you know every day counts. You deserve to be living the life that you want on your rules. You deserve to achieve those dreams, start that business, win that championship, get recruited, whatever that is that you desire. There's never been a better time in history to make a change and take charge of your future. You work hard. You want it bad. You're committed to making it happen. Let's do it now. So get on board with the High Achievers Mindset Secrets, because I look forward to working with you.
Get more details at mindset.jeffhagee.com.